Have you ever wished you could be unshakable? The kind of person who doesn't flinch at criticism, rejection, loss, or betrayal? Have you ever dreamed of a day when you no longer carry that silent pain, that constant weight beneath the surface, even when you're smiling on the outside? Maybe you're tired. Tired of trying to be everything for everyone. Tired of holding up the image of someone who's always strong, always composed, when deep down all you really want is to pause, to breathe, to rest. Let me say something that maybe no one's told you before. As long as you keep avoiding pain, pain will keep running your life. As long as you're trying to numb yourself, shield yourself, hide, you're not protecting yourself. You're just becoming a hostage to everything around you, to what people say, to what they do, even to the things they don't say that echo louder than words. But hear this, it's not weakness, it's real. Most people live like this. The difference is, some are just better at pretending. Carl Jung, one of the great minds in psychology, once said, "We are not what happens to us. We are what we choose to become." That's the key. It's not about putting up walls. It's not about being cold or untouchable. It's about doing the opposite, bringing everything out of the dark, facing what hurts, integrating it into who you are. Because real strength isn't about never bleeding. It's about knowing exactly who you are, even while you're still bleeding. If you're still watching, that's no coincidence. This is for you, the one who's exhausted from always being emotionally one step behind. The one who feels like everyone else has some kind of emotional power, you just don't. I want to show you that it doesn't have to stay this way. But first, we need to face some hard truths. And yes, they might hurt. But this time, that hurt might finally set you free. Let's begin. You think the pain is out there, in what they did, in what they said, in who left, in who betrayed you. But the truth? None of that can really hurt you unless there's already a wound inside you. The pain isn't in their actions. It's in what those actions trigger inside you. It's in the story you tell yourself about them. It's in the unresolved pain you've been carrying around, quietly pretending doesn't exist. Jung taught that what we feel about the world is often just a reflection of what we haven't yet faced inside ourselves. That's why some people go through tragedy and still remain grounded, while others fall apart at a single harsh word. It's not about what happens, it's about where it hits. And here's the uncomfortable truth. You still suffer this much, because somewhere deep down, you still believe you can control how others treat you. You're still trying to be good enough, strong enough, smart enough, kind enough, as if that will stop the world from hurting you. But control? It's an illusion, and the more you chase it, the more you live in fear, constantly trying to anticipate every move, avoid every wound, predict the unpredictable. Want to stop suffering? Then stop trying to avoid suffering. What you need isn't more control, it's more awareness. As long as you believe people need to behave a certain way in order for you to feel okay, you'll always be at the mercy of their actions. Freedom begins the moment you realize nothing from outside can touch you unless it echoes something inside. And this is where the real battle begins, not out there, but in the unconscious. Because what you can't see, what you don't understand, and what you've never faced is already running your life. Let's go deeper. You've been told your whole life that you're in control. But here's the truth. You're not. Not while you keep living on autopilot, reacting without knowing why, making choices, then sabotaging them, feeling things you don't even understand. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." That's what's happening to you. The pain, the anger that shows up out of nowhere, the random sadness, they're not random. They're signals, messages, coming from parts of you that you've locked away and forgotten. Jung called this hidden territory the unconscious, and it's not just some vague blur in your mind, it's a living force, a storehouse of old wounds, memories, fears, and needs you never dared to deal with. Why do certain things devastate you but leave others unaffected? Because those things hit the raw, unhealed parts of you. And they're still raw because you've never actually faced them. You've only buried them. Pushed them under the rug and now you're tripping over them. Jung said, "We cannot change anything until we accept it. Condemnation does not liberate oppressors." And what have you been doing? Judging yourself, hiding parts of yourself, pretending. But pretending doesn't make your unconscious go away. It just gives it more power. That's why you end up in toxic relationships that feel familiar. Why you repeat the same self-destructive cycles. Why anxiety creeps in just when things start going well. This isn't bad luck. It's your unconscious trying to get your attention. And you keep trying to sleep through it. You want to be someone who no longer gets hurt? Then stop running from what's already inside you. Because until you face your unconscious, it will keep pulling your strings and you'll keep thinking it's just life being unfair. You think the problem is the pain coming from the outside. But what really breaks you is the pain you haven't made peace with on the inside. There is a way out. But it's not through defense. It's through integration. Becoming untouchable isn't about being tough. It's about being whole. Let's talk about what that really means. Most people think the only way to stop getting hurt is by shutting down. So they build walls, wear masks, act like nothing affects them. They say, I'm done caring. I'm over it. I don't need anyone. But inside, they're still bleeding. Because the issue isn't that you feel too much. It's that you don't understand what you're feeling or why. And that only happens when you don't truly know yourself. Jung once said, know all the theories, master all the techniques, but as you touch a human soul, be just another human soul. And that soul you keep hiding behind your mask, it's still there. Still hurting, still hoping someone will finally see it. True emotional strength isn't about being cold or tough. It's not about avoiding pain or pretending not to care. It's about integration. It's about shining light on everything you've buried in the dark. You don't become untouchable by avoiding your feelings. You become untouchable when no one can use them against you because you've already faced them, accepted them, and embraced them. When you've made peace with your fears, your flaws, your insecurities, you stop reacting to everything. You start choosing. And that is freedom. Jung called this individuation the journey of becoming who you really are. Not what others expect. Not who you had to become to feel accepted, but who emerges when your light and shadow finally meet. Individuation isn't about perfection. It's about wholeness. And here's the secret no one tells you. The more you run from pain, the more it hunts you. But when you finally face it, when you stop trying to be perfect and start being real, nothing outside of you can destroy what's already been made whole. You learn to hate pain early in life. Maybe no one told you this directly, but you got the message loud and clear. That crying was weakness. That being too sensitive meant you were flawed. That feeling deeply made you vulnerable, and that vulnerability meant danger. So, what did you do? You ran. You shut down. You built defenses and told yourself that if you just stayed strong enough, nothing could hurt you. But here's the truth. The more you avoid pain, the more it follows you. It just puts on a different mask. It shows up as anxiety, boredom, resentment, emotional outbursts, or that deep, unexplained heaviness that won't go away. See, ignored pain doesn't die. It doesn't vanish just because you've buried it. It goes underground. It digs tunnels through your life. And then one day, it erupts. Without warning. In a breakdown, in a burnout, in a relationship that suddenly falls apart. And you're left wondering, where did this come from? Carl Jung didn't see pain the way most of us do. To him, pain was not the enemy. It was the messenger, a signal from the soul. He said, depression is like a woman in black. If she turns up, don't shoo her away. Invite her in, offer her a seat, and listen to what she has to say. But most of us don't listen, do we? We silence it. We scroll. We distract. We drink. We pretend. We do everything except stop and ask the question that actually matters. What is this pain trying to teach me? The truth is, the pain you feel isn't punishment. It's a call for transformation. It's the signal that something inside you wants to grow, but something else inside you is resisting that growth. There's an inner tug of war. One part of you craves change. Another part clings to the familiar, even if the familiar is painful. And in that tension, that battle between who you are and who you could become, that's where suffering lives. Because growth is uncomfortable. Healing hurts. Letting go of what no longer serves you, that feels like death. But it's not death. It's rebirth. It's grief, yes. It's mourning old versions of yourself, old beliefs, old attachments. But it's also the beginning of something else. Freedom. Because when your life falls apart, when you have nothing left to prove, nothing left to lose, that's when you finally see who you really are. And in that raw, unfiltered space, pain becomes sacred. It strips away the masks. It exposes the truth. It brings you to your knees. Not in defeat, but in awakening. Carl Jung knew this. He understood that suffering isn't a system failure. It's part of the process. The door doesn't open without pressure. The new you doesn't emerge without fire. But here's the hard truth. Most people never make it through. They give up halfway. They return to the distractions. They choose numbness over clarity, comfort over truth. But not you. If you're still here, it's because something in you is ready. Ready to stop surviving. Ready to start living. And that means you're ready for the hardest part. The journey of individuation. It's a term Jung used to describe the process of becoming whole. Not perfect. Not polished. Whole. It's about unlearning who you think you are, so you can discover who you really are underneath all the conditioning. And make no mistake, this process hurts. Why? Because most of what you call you is just survival programming. You're not your trauma. You're not your job title. You're not the image you project so people like you. That's just your armor. That's your mask. That's your persona, as Jung called it. A role you play so the world won't reject you. But surviving is not the same as living. And individuation. This path you're now walking, it doesn't protect your ego. It dismantles it. You lose the old safety nets. You shed the illusions. You walk through fire. But what you find on the other side is something no one can take from you. See, when you've met your own darkness, when you've faced your fears, your shame, your buried grief, and still stood up, you become unshakable. Not because nothing hurts you, but because nothing controls you anymore. You may still feel pain, but it doesn't break you. You may still lose people, but you don't lose yourself. That's the difference. Real strength isn't armor. It's depth. It's rootedness. It's knowing exactly who you are, so nothing from the outside can make you question it. This is why those who go deep often feel distant. Not because they don't love others, but because they no longer fit in the places they used to hide. This part of the journey, it's lonely. Not in the sense of being alone, but in the sense that few people are willing to join you here. Most still live on the surface, wearing masks, avoiding pain, chasing approval. And when you stop playing that game, you naturally drift. But that's not rejection. It's evolution. It's what happens when you grow. And it leads us to the final truth. Consciousness is the shield. Not pretending, not being liked, not being perfect. Awareness, clarity, presence. That's what sets you free. And that's where we're going in the final part of this journey. We'll talk about what it truly means to live awake. To feel everything, but no longer be ruled by anything. To live without defenses, without pretense, and finally, without fear. If you've made it this far, comment below. I choose awareness. Let's build a space where truth matters more than performance, where healing is more valuable than perfection. And don't forget, the next video in this series is where the real shift happens. Click through. Keep going. You didn't come this far just to stop here. See you on the other side.